Pardon?
We have not been recording this whole time.
No, I'm sorry. You could have been on your worst behavior.
Well, it's just about to start. So
It's not going to change.
Can't wait.
Johnny,
okay, still not singing. Nope.
Aw.
Yeah.
No singing cameos. You can make money that way.
Yeah.
Who wants a cameo from a drummer? Come on.
Hey, there might be people. You could just like do a drumming cameo.
Ooh.
Have you seen some of the cameos available though? Really questionable. At one point, there was the Fly that was on what's his face's face during the presidential election.
That's
Yeah,
Giuliani's face. Yeah.
yeah.
That cameo.
too.
Did it?
Yeah, like landed on her head or something.
Oh,
Face. I don't
I
know.
guess surprising to fly, whatever.
It was like 7 years ago.
That was like forever ago.
You use a lot of hair dye, it's gonna happen. You know, you're gonna get flies around and stuff. So
All right. Well, the first question is going to be one that people always ask. Please introduce yourselves and the role you play in the band.
Okay. I'll go first. My name is Brian Rich. I play guitar and sing a little bit.
Yeah, not enough.
Get out of here.
I'm Scott. I also play guitar and I also sing a wee bit more.
I'm Johnny. I play drums and I do not sing.
Tequila sings tequila every now and then if he has to.
And I'm Michael. I do the bass, and I'm being coerced into singing as we speak.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're trying to coerce you. All right.
It's not going to take much. I just have to write a song. That's all.
Well, with that being said, is there any defining moment any of you had that made you want to play the instrument that you do, or aside from coercion, sing?
I got demoted to be bass, so yeah, I'm actually a guitarist.
Isn't that usually how a lot of bassists go? Like,
Yeah.
I was a guitar player, but they really needed a bass
They
player.
do
So.
basses, yeah. So
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is kind of how I notice it goes.
10 years ago.
yeah, well, we've all of us have in this room been demoted to bass at some point in bands that we've been.
I don't even play
together.
bass when I was demoted to bass. So
You
yeah,
started learning it on your own.
yeah. 'Cause I
To,
figured one day, you know.
to answer your question, I started out on drums actually. It was my first instrument when I was about 10. And my parents got me this little junior kit, and I really enjoyed it. And I occasionally sit behind a drum kit today and fart around when Johnny lets me. But I don't know, when after a year or two of that, something about playing the guitar was cool. It looked cool. And at least at the time, it was a little bit cheaper. I
Yeah,
found later that's not necessarily the case. And I'm still playing guitar, or at least trying to. Yeah.
I'll go next. Sure. I started playing music when I was 7 with piano. And rock kind of came into life a little bit later on. And if I had to pinpoint one exact defining moment, it's pretty easy for me. It's just seeing the music video for Basket Case by Green Day. I'd never seen anything like it before. Not only the music, but just like the oversaturated kind of way they filmed it. It just kind of really hit home for me. So that kind of did it for me. That and just like listening to Metallica for years as a kid.
nice.
My dad was a bass player, believe it or not, and I would sit and listen to him. And I kind of just started taking my sister's Barbie legs off and hitting things around where I can find them. And then my dad's like, well, he's doing that. Might as well get him a little drum set. So just kind of took to it and watched VH1 and MTV as a kid and tried to replicate, and did band in school, and then was in a cover band with a couple of these guys like 10 years ago, and just kept playing and stopped for a while and then play again. And then we finally got back together a few years ago. So it's always
That's
been
great.
Yeah.
Next.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I went to Catholic school, so I was in church, and I was in choir and wanted to sing, and then I saw one of my buddies playing guitar during the after everybody gets the Eucharist, and I was like, man, that's so cool. I didn't know it. He was actually playing some Led Zeppelin like quietly during it, and like that's when I started learning music and I heard that. So I ended up doing the same thing because I started playing for church and then playing some rock and roll during the quiet moments. You know,
True story. I went to the same church, and I had no idea who he was, and he was playing a Metallica song before mass, and I was like, "Oh, that's incredible! I didn't know you could play guitar in church."
yeah, yeah. I was playing what Nothing Else Matters, I think.
Oh, I sure don't remember what
Yeah.
the actual song it was, but
Yeah.
I just remember like turning to my brother, like, "Is that guy playing Metallica?"
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
So yeah, I actually forgot that
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to sing, and guitar is something that you could do with it. So that's where I picked up guitar. Just wanted to do that.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. So I saw on Facebook that the band is like 12 years in the making. Am I
Yeah.
correct on this?
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
So what is the exact origin story for the band?
Starts with you guys.
So I knew this question was certainly gonna
It's
pop
not.
up.
It's not an easy answer, is it?
It's not. Well, from my recollection, and Scott and Johnny, I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So, I don't know, around 2009 or 2008, Johnny and I were in Mike's band called Never Never. Great band, by the way. Great original music.
Hey, thanks for the plug.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
Anytime.
On Spotify, go listen to it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And Scott and I were in a band before then, called Aegis, super fun band. And I kind of wanted to get back to 6-string guitar because I played bass in Never Never, which actually made me a much better guitarist, even though I'm still not super great at it. So we started writing kind of with Phil, the original bassist, kind of for fun. And then I think I just asked you to come in for a session.
Yeah, you
And it-
guys didn't really have a drummer, and we had played together. Brian and I played together with Michael, and Never Never, and we kind of got along well together, and
Yeah.
had similar.
It
music
wasn't
tastes.
it wasn't a project that I thought was gonna certainly last in any form or fashion, or even come back over a decade later. But we had a good time writing and recording like the couple tracks that we did back then.
Yeah.
And we kind of did our own thing for the last, decade or more, 12, 13 years. And COVID hit and we all got really bored, to say the least. And well, some of us did.
I had a kid
And
during
we,
COVID, so
Oh, that's true.
we
Yeah.
had rejoined together right before I had my daughter, Elaine. If you're listening, Elaine, and they're like, "Well, can you do this and have a newborn?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll sure as heck try." And we get together as much as we can, with a lot of us in relationships and have kids and jobs, but yeah, we got together like you said, like back in 2009 or 10, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there, 2009,
And
I
then
think.
did a few songs together,
We did.
recorded it like on a computer mic.
Just one mic.
Yeah, I
Microphone
remember.
in a room.
I remember our original bass player at the time. He was kind of off and on in college, and I remember him. You remember this when he was saying that he had to go back down to West Lafayette, and he had the practice space to do it. So, kind of when he left, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to infiltrate our apartments or wherever we were living to keep this going, and it kind of just fizzled from that point, right?
Yeah.
And your kids were young then too. Or Simon was.
Well,
Felix wasn't there yet.
before
Oh, actually, that was before
it
Simon.
disbanded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
none of us were like,
yeah,
No, yeah.
it was close for you, but
all of us were like not married and no kids, and
Yeah, so we kind of disbanded for a number of reasons. I wasn't a father yet. And my wife and I had just actually started dating around the time the band kind of hit its peak back then. And just life happens, like the band wasn't completely the biggest priority, I guess, at that point. You're kind of veering into the late 20s, and it's like, oh crap, I better start a family before it's too late. So for me personally, it's just kind of became a bit of a, well, I just want to see what the rest of life is about beyond music, because gosh, that ever since I was 15, that was the dream. So to have the dream of music to kind of like be the least important thing was something I was interested in trying out.
Right.
Cool.
So how did you guys come up with the band name?
I don't remember.
Listen, a long time ago.
Honestly, got truth. I have
Well, it all started in a pole barn in LaPorte, Indiana. We didn't have a name, and then we all kind of like sci-fi, action, comedy type movies. Like we're really into movies and stuff. And I came up with Save the Clock Tower, which was kind of
Still think
almost immediately shot down because we thought people might call us Save the Leap Tower.
no,
sophomoric
Yeah, you know,
thing. Yeah.
late 20s will be late 20s, and so we kind of just started shooting off other names, and I think we just came up with Upstairs in Fire because it sounded cool.
Yeah.
I think Scott, you came up with
I
that.
definitely
Hey,
came up
Yeah,
with it.
Scott came.
Yeah.
Scott came up with
I
it,
just
but-
said the words. I mean, I could come up with some meaning and metaphors behind it from a couple different angles, but I just like the sound of it. And I was like, hey, you could put a comma in there. You could not put a comma in there. It's just
We did the,
very arbitrary.
we did the exclamation point in there for a hot second, and then oh wait, Panic at the Disco did that too. But
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah,
could bring it back
nothing-
because they're not together anymore. So, just kidding. We could be Panic at the Upstairs on Fire
yeah,
Disco.
Could be.
I want to share a very quick story, much to what you were saying about, late 20s. You wanted to see what else life had to offer. I worked at Verizon Wireless for a while in store when they had tech support in the store. I worked with a guy in a local pop punk band called This Changes Everything.
Ooh.
And they played Battle of the Bands. They were trying to get on some bill. I don't remember who was playing. And I remember him saying, I mean, this is our chance. We're pushing 30. If we don't do it now, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
So he almost had like the complete opposite realization or moment that you did. Because he was already married and had a kid at that point. And he was kind of like, if I don't do it now, then it's not going to happen. Now to dial this back for a minute. So we got the origin story, kind of the band, how he got into playing. There were previous bands, but was there a moment or a show that you had gone to where you saw a band, saw someone perform live, and you're like, I want to do that in a band with a bunch of friends?
It's getting real religious in here.
I absolutely have an answer for that. So before I met Scott, and Jessica, you're gonna love this, by the way. This was in 2005. I'd been in bands before then, but not, it was kind of just farting around, nothing too crazy. But my first like big rock show, or not even big, but just like rock show was at House of Blues in Chicago in 2005, and it was Story of the Year.
Of course, I knew it was going there.
The Wake of Determination tour. I can't remember. I know it was Story of the Year in Anne Berlin.
Yes,
sure.
I'm actually wearing an Amberlin shirt.
Oh, right on. God, I love Anne Berlin.
It's not. It's like a weird shirt too. No,
No, I love it. It's excellent.
sorry, had a show.
So I went.
Looks great.
So I went with the bass player in my band at the time and my girlfriend at the time, and there was someone else. Can't remember who it was. And it was the only like rock show like I fought to the front to get to the stage, And that was like a life or death situation by the time Story of the Year came out, and everyone just went,
Oh yeah,
but just the energy and seeing those dudes, at least back then, with the acrobats, like they would jump around and do the guitar world and the kicks and everything. I'm like, that's awesome. I'll probably never be able to jump in the air and do a spin, but that's fucking cool, and I want to do this for real. So that was definitely my moment. For
Yeah.
me.
they
Yeah.
still do that on stage, except
Oh,
for
yeah, and they're what? They're at least 10 years older than I am, at least.
Still young. You
Pushing 50.
you can try.
I think Dan's like 42,
42?
42, 43. Yeah,
Well, he's not that old then.
yeah, they're not super old.
Oh, you were way
And-
older.
Who, me?
Oh no.
Uh, It'll stay in.
It's
We
so
don't cut a lot out.
It absolutely blew me away. Just incredible. I've been to so many local shows and those are great too, but seeing the production value and kind of sitting through the opening bands, and that was my introduction to Anne Berlin at the time. And
Yeah.
I remember Christian just leaning over the stage right over me, and he like sweated, like a drip of sweat landed right here.
He's not watched that spot.
Yeah, I have it.
13-year-old girl.
And I ran into him in the hallway. I'm like, dude,
Hey, we
That
all
was
have our
fun.
fangirl, fanboy moments.
yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
I mean, as far as seeing like a major act or just any live music in general.
Anyone that
Anyone.
really stuck out.
I mean, I guess I would go with major act. I mean, the first like decent sized concert I went to, I was 15 or 16, and I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers in 311 at the Tweeter Center in Chicago. And you know, I'd never been to a full scale concert before, so just seeing it for the first time was fantastic, and it made me want to do it.
Nice.
I went to Ozfest 2004 with my sister in Chicago, and I was really into like metal at the time, and Atreyu played, and they were pretty hot back then. I think you guys talked about Atreyu on.
I mentioned Atreyu a lot.
When you're
Yeah.
angry.
When I'm
Like,
angry,
Right
yes.
Side of the Bed was huge, and like that album was
Yeah.
pretty popping, and I'm like, man, these guys are killing it. Like, I'm a drummer. It'd be really cool to play like a show like this, you know, a festival or anything like that. And I just got kind of like the bug, like, man, I'd really like to play live in front of people, and I still get chills, and I still get like the surge you get
Yeah.
when you play. And I hadn't played live in a long time, and we just had a show together, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't like anything huge. It was at a local brewery here in Valparaiso, Indiana, and
Really good brewery. They're
it was
called
really cool.
Forefathers
Forefathers,
Brewing,
yeah, they were really cool to let us play. It was kind of like a last minute addition.
Mhm.
They had a band drop out, and we came in, and it was awesome.
Shout out to Frank Good.
Yeah, Frank Good and
Frank Good, thank you.
Forefathers in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Yeah.
And like, man, I really miss this, you know, just playing. And another big influence for me is Coheed and Cambria. I don't know if you guys are into them or not.
Oh, yeah.
I saw them in 2005, and I just really never a really big fan.
Same. That band owned my soul for like
Yeah.
8 to 10 years.
Like Second Stage really like was a big influence back when I was younger, and then Keeping Secrets was another great album, and so
It's on your skin forever.
yeah, I have a tattoo of the
That's-
keyword here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I'll get closer later if you guys want to take a look at it or not. But
Sure, why not?
yeah,
Who wouldn't?
I mean, I showed my shirt. Chris
Yeah.
showed his tattoo. Might as well have a sharing time.
sharing time.
I'll just flip yourself over.
Oh yeah, I'll get up.
There we go.
I guess I'll get up and show you
It's
guys.
gonna show. Here we go. Leg up.
You see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
That would have been very arousing in the 1920s.
I mean, somebody somewhere is gonna listen to this. They're really excited, so you're welcome.
Yeah, they might. Maybe we'll even post this video and they can see your leg on the internet.
Oh, check out the vids.
Here comes OnlyFans. All right.
Well,
Yeah.
is this the big announcement for OnlyFans? No, I'm just kidding.
We are a multimedia band, by the way.
We'll put our
Yeah.
calendar up.
All right.
Multimedia.
Comedian Shane Gillis.
No.
No.
He's got like a sketch comedy thing called Gillian Keeves, and he's got a really funny skit called OnlyFans Dad. Worth checking out.
All
You
right.
guys will like it.
OF Dad? Oh man. It's
I'll
always
have
good
to take a
spend
look.
extra money.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, Michael.
You
Oh, I thought I
church
said
earlier.
church.
She
Yeah.
said church.
Church is
Yep.
his influence.
His answer for everything is church.
Oh no, yeah, no. Gosh, I mean, like, yeah, of course. I mean, that's the reason why I picked up playing guitar. I was just seeing that for the first time. Matt Gowan, that's the guy who was playing guitar. Good friend, well, good old friend of mine. But he, as far as that goes, like, you know, just that's when I picked up guitar. But I mean, your idea of what rock and roll is and where you're going to play is quite nebulous when you're a kid. So like, you don't really know what's going to happen. It's just over the years, I went from being a Metallica fan and a Megadeth fan and learning all that stuff, and then slowly realizing that like, oh man, I actually kind of like want to sing and write songs and get into that. And then it was just like playing open mic nights, and then I was in a band in college, and then it just kind of kept snowballing from there. And I mean, I guess sort of it all really accumulated into what this band is right now, because I'm playing with Brian, who was in my first band that I was fronting, and then Johnny was in the band too. Johnny is the founding member. Brian came in on bass much later, and actually Scott came in on bass even later than that. And then it just kind of all came together, and one of the best things that came out of it, and I know we're talking about origins, but like, I mean, I like to brag about what we've done, of course. And,
Right.
we got a great music video up on YouTube, that's just kind of a collaboration of everything. It's their songwriting, production. We had a lot of help come in from a couple of friends of ours to video shoot, Rye Buffington and Kayla. They helped us out on that one. And Jim Morris, our forefather,
Shout out
in the production world. Shout out to Jim. We were able to film a great music video to a great song that we recorded, and we did it all ourselves. And that's what we're doing now. So
Nice.
more of the same for the future.
All right. So my next question is that, genres have changed and bended over the years. If you had to pick a genre or describe your sound to someone who's never heard your band before, what genre would you pick, and how would you describe your sound?
What would Jim
Do
say?
you have like a hat with a bunch of genres in it? Because we can just pull out like 4 or 5 and then read them off.
Mhm.
That would be
I don't have a hat, unfortunately.
I don't know. So we released 3 songs relatively early on when we got kind of, got back together and had Mike come in. And I would say that those 3 songs certainly are different from, we have 2 newer songs, and we have a 3rd one in the pipe. And there's certainly similarities between all 6 of them, but I don't know, like the first 3 were definitely more of like a pop rock aspect to it with some intricacies. But this newer stuff, it's different. I don't know, like there's still that melodic aspect to it vocally. I mean, we're all melodic guys.
Yeah.
I know you are too, Johnny. So that's not going to change, but I had this conversation. I had a beer down at a bar down the road for coming over here, and I was talking with the bartender. And he asked me the same question, and I said indie pop rock. But I know that's not going to be completely factual. I mean, everyone will listen to it, kind of put their own spin to it from what they hear, what they know, what their experiences are. As Michael chuckles when I say indie pop rock. Let's hear your take.
It's an American rock band.
See, I like that. So we briefly talked on another podcast or an episode where like what we would have considered post-hardcore or pop punk, 15 years ago, when we were looking for new bands in those genres to listen to and we pulled them up, it was not how we would have defined it. And so that's actually why we've started to turn away from genre labeling band recommendations on the podcast now, because it's so different.
Well,
compared to
take like the evolution of punk rock, or punk just from the 70s to punk what it is today, or even when it started in the late 70s to emo what is considered today. They don't mean anything, and the meanings keep changing. Indie is fun because like indie ended up becoming a sound, and it started as actually a business model. So it didn't even start with a sound. It started with like, no, we're just independent. And then that became its own thing. So I just call it a rock band, and it's American rock band because we sing in English. We're all from America, but like, I don't need to describe it because either you're going to like it or you're not. And I just like being ambiguous in that way, because you just let other people put
I think
labels
it's-
on it and it's fun.
I think
you
it's
know?
really cool to be ambiguous because you can pull a lot of different people into what you're doing. It's cool to have different songs be different things with a general outline of like who we are, I guess. Like we
Right.
can have a general sound and then each song kind of sound like a different genre almost. Like that to me is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to check just one box in the genre SAT test. You know, I want to be able to say, well, this song is a little more dancey, or this one's a little more post-hardcore,
Mhm.
this one's a little more emo and also dancey. Like it's fun. I like kind of twisting and turning the expectations of what people think we should sound like or what we should sound like. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll say, just to chime in real quick, I'll be brief. I definitely don't like answering this question. I like to just say we're a rock band or we're indie rock. But I mean, everybody sees things and views things like you say differently. The meanings change over time, and people from different ends of the spectrum musically will look at it in more of one light or another. And I won't name this person, but there's like a pretty prominent person in the local music scene, which is predominantly metal and hardcore.
yeah,
And
Michigan City, Indiana is like hardcore
yeah,
metal.
so this
death
person,
metal type stuff.
I just saw him out and about, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get this band going again." He's like, "Oh yeah, I heard you guys. That's pretty good stuff." And I tried to kind of describe it as sort of progressive, sort of indie. He's like, "Oh, you guys are an emo band." And it's like, "Oh, okay." It was almost dismissive the way he said it,
No.
but it's like, okay, that's your point of view, and that's fine. You can have that. One.
Yeah, I mean, because of the emo revival, every band now is an emo band.
I suppose.
That's
I don't
kind of what they're making it into.
Looks
Oh.
like we.
Jess froze for a minute.
What,
yeah,
for a
yeah.
second? Ah,
And
I
especially.
liked how we all held our breath.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah.
the another thing, which is always one thing that to touch on what Johnny said, is that like I think that people have a tendency to like use a label to put themselves in a box, and I'd hate to like have to be like, oh, we're in a hardcore band, and you just expect everything to have a breakdown in the middle of it with a chunk or something sound in there. Like I like not defining it just because it allows us to do whatever the hell we want, as opposed to like have to be a band that fits inside of a scene. And
Yeah.
it's just not, it's not for me, because I mean, Brian's gonna write a song completely like Brian, Scott's gonna write a song completely like Scott, me as well. The last song is the most collaborative song that we've ever recorded, should be coming out sometime soon, and it's all of us doing our own thing, and it's grand, it's great. I mean, it's so good, and gosh, I wish it was out so you guys could listen to it, but it'll come out soon. But it sounds so completely different than what we started as. So
yeah.
so yeah, that's, I mean, why genre it too hard? It's just rock, and have a good time with it.
All right. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. You mentioned writing in the last question. So who does the writing in the band, and what is your process?
A lot of yelling.
That was a lot of
Gosh.
Not
Yeah,
in the
just
song.
kidding, just kidding.
We don't yell in the song. We just yell
Yeah.
to get the song written. So that
These guys mostly start off with the ideas. This is Brian and Scott has been like the progenitors of it.
Yeah, so I mean, Brian and I used to be in a band, as we mentioned, called Aegis, and before that it was called Ruins of an Exploding Star briefly. And at that time, Brian was pretty much just singing backup and playing guitar, and I was singing lead vocals. But he had other bands, and he's got a lot of singing and writing experience. So when we did Upstairs, the whole impetus of it was it's going to be a 50-50 split. It's like, you can do a song, I'll do the song. Whoever writes the song predominantly can kind of take lead vocals on it, and that's kind of where it started off. And yeah, at the second go around, it's just kind of slowly devolved into just more of a collaborative effort rather than a I got mine and you got yours sort of thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any kind of lyrics or riffs come from unusual places?
Not,
Not
I
specifically
mean,
for
yeah, well, sure.
you have some?
Lyrics always
Oh,
come
okay,
from
lyrics.
me.
Okay. Like the back of a Volkswagen?
Like the back of a Volkswagen. No, like I find inspiration for songs in weird in like song titles in weird places, video games predominantly, and movies. We have a song called Brothers in Triangles that is mostly inspired by Adam's Family Values. I won't like kind of
Shout out to Adam's Family Values.
how and why, but it's a metaphor for being a brother and getting along with my brothers and likening it to Fester and Gomez in that sequel a lot.
Nice.
Cool.
So, out of the singles you guys have released, is there a specific one you would suggest a first-time listener listen to? Like
Oh.
first?
Probably SOS. I mean, that's like our deepest single, like the one with the music
Yeah,
video
it's-
attached to it.
It's definitely the song that's easiest to, on the palate, no matter where you kind of come from, genre wise or historically. It's just it's a rock song.
Yeah.
Very melodic and just super easy to listen to. So I guess
Big vocals.
I mean we kind of before we shot the video, we only had a couple songs at the time to choose from to shoot the video for, and that one just kind of landed on it. I mean we talked about it, but
I think we decided
Wasn't-
SOS was our single, was our hit. Because it had, I feel like it had like the catchiest chorus at the time, and it was a really good, like, even keel tempo for what we do, and it had like the bridge similar to Brothers in Triangles where it slowed down, but
it's actually in a different time signature.
different time signatures for sure.
Oh, that
Which is-
recording process was
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
forgot about
you
that.
write songs in different time signatures. It gets really fucking cool.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
And people liked it,
So
I
yeah,
mean, it's-
anybody listening, check out SOS.
it's-
That's what I would recommend. Anybody have anything different?
Head straight to YouTube.
straight to YouTube. Yeah.
So with how singles are released now widely over like streaming platforms and social media, do you find it difficult to self-promote, or do you wish there were other avenues to do self-promotion? Like, MySpace was great back in the day because you just made a band page and you plopped all your stuff on there and followed all your similar bands, and it was pretty easy back then, but it seems to have changed quite a bit now.
I think it's a little easier now.
It's easier, yeah.
There's a lot more platforms to go on to, like Spotify, Amazon, Apple, YouTube. You can promote on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter.
And it's-
Which we're not really doing Twitter too much,
No.
but
It's not even called Twitter anymore, right?
no, it's X.
Yeah.
Shout out to X.
It's made easier now because we just do DistroKid and they just dump
Yeah,
everything,
but-
but just goes out into the internet world. And
Yeah, Frisbees our stuff.
Well,
to
we're just kind of getting started. I mean, we'll blast this stuff on our social media pages, but we've done our first show just a few weeks ago. We have another one coming up next weekend. So even looking back, 15 years ago during the MySpace, era when that ruled the world, it's about physically getting out there and playing the music. I mean, you can promote it to death online, and your family and your friends are going to watch it and support you, which is awesome, by the way, not complaining. But if you really want to connect with people, you got to get out there in person and do it. And I know wasn't really something that was easy to do these last few years with COVID, but I think we're kind of getting past that. And that's been the trick for, I don't know, 70 years.
Yeah.
Get out there and
Right.
play in front of people,
Well, yeah,
Which-
live is always better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
we're
sure.
starting to get into that now, and I'm kind of grateful we had the time to not play live because we were able to be together in a space and write and record and make the music video. And
We had a lot of time to talk, not just record the music and write the music, but just sit down and kind of talk about the music too. Especially with the songs, the first 3 releases were old songs. I mean, these are songs that were written 12 years ago or more, and just kind of bringing those back to life. going through the recording process, which Michael's been fucking pro, herding us cats into that whole thing.
Shout out to Mike.
Because that was impossible 12 years ago. It really was. I mean, you had to go to a studio somewhere, come up with the funds, and the technology has made it well, you know, it's possible to do it yourself. For a relatively small amount of money, I say relatively, and with the know-how, you know.
Right.
I think the tough part is though, is that like releasing your stuff online and having expectations are two different things. Like it's great that we can just throw it out there, but even in the MySpace era, back in the day, like you can throw your stuff out there and like the chances of going viral are probably worse than being going full rock star, to tell you the truth. I mean, you're shooting the moon anyway, you slice it. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we had a media team and all sorts of different people coming up with ideas to throw on TikTok and everything, maybe it'd be different. But I think most of us are just kind of happy to be musicians and write music and do the music thing as opposed to worry about, I don't know, being
Well, I mean,
popular.
we certainly want people to come out because they saw our post on Instagram or Facebook, or people that haven't seen us before that live nearby, or they saw an ad or something, or somebody told them word of mouth, like, hey, like my friend's friends in this band, or my friend of a friend knows a person or whoever that we've seen them live and they're really good. You should check them out. Like, I don't think we're looking for Wembley Stadium anytime soon, but just to get out and play what we love to do, you know, like if it's at a bar or if you guys want to promote our show coming up this Saturday, we're playing the Michigan City Oktoberfest Saturday, September 2nd at noon down at the Washington Park Beach at Sunset Grill.
Yes.
Nice.
There's 52 bands playing that weekend, and we were lucky enough to be one of those bands. So
That's a lot of bands.
Tim Bauer and Michigan City Parks and Oktoberfest in Michigan City. So we're not, I don't think, I hate to speak for everyone, but I don't think we're looking to play Wembley or you know, Madison Square Garden. I think we're just happy right now playing for our friends and trying to create new music and just have fun. So
Yeah, you know, the stadium shows and that whole idea for me was, you know, 15 years ago.
Right.
And
I mean, that was really
it was
cool.
it was a legit, you know, site, and you know,
if someone
At the
popped
time.
up behind us and said, hey, you guys are playing a big stadium show next weekend, I think
Opening
we'd be
for
pretty
the-
excited about it, but
sure, yeah,
it's
but,
not something
you know,
that we're really
it's not why we're doing this,
right.
You know, the drive behind it's a little different than it was when we were younger.
Yeah.
Happy to still do it, I think, right?
Very happy to be doing it. Yes.
Playing guitar is fun.
You know, it's a good time.
So you guys are working on a new song. Is there anything you can tell listeners about it, or is it top secret?
Ooh, the juicy deets.
Well, I mean,
it's
we can tell them
Yeah, it's not
anything
top
that they want to know. Yeah, we'll tell you all sorts of things about a song that you know you probably should hear
no, this
other
is
than talk about.
you know, this new song's kind of birthed from Scott, you know.
It's in the key of E.
Get nerdy about it. Called Night Owl, and it's a little different than what you guys may have heard online. It's a little more straightforward dance rock,
Kind of dancey,
Um,
you know.
a little more just not as like time change, signature change is what we're used to.
Well, kind of circling back to what we talked about earlier, is it's more collaborative. You know, we spent a pretty fair amount of time on the first three songs, rebirthing these old songs, getting Michael involved, getting his spin on those songs. Then we released another song called Comeback Girl, which was a departure from that kind of sound a little bit. But this song it's really a true representation of what this band is, which is
Nice.
exciting. And once it's released, I think folks that have heard the previous material will be able to tell the difference in a good way.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So
It's exciting.
So many bands are influenced by other bands. Do you guys have any bands that you're influenced by musically
Holy
that
moly.
I was waiting for this.
Here we
question,
go.
guys.
of course, there's always that question.
Every musician's like, let me talk about what I love.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh,
Start us off, Brian.
I like how I'm at the beginning of the circle. So,
I'll
you know, I thought
I'll
about
be
this
right
a
back.
little bit throughout my 9 to 5 job today about this particular question. And, you know, my answer would change depending on when you ask me. You know, if you were to ask me this 5 years ago, it'd be probably this lineup of bands, and 5 years before that, it'd be this lineup of bands. But there's only been 2 bands that have resonated with me throughout my adolescent and adult life, at least as a songwriter. And the first band in person would be Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. These guys absolutely know that.
Yeah, he's
Brian
Brian
Wilson-
over the Beach Boys for
Brian Wilson is my absolute hero. I'm very lucky I got to work with him one time in my live audio career. So that's number one. And the number 2 would be Angels and Airwaves. Absolutely love, you know, I'm a big Blink fan, of course, too, but I remember when Tom started that band, when Blink had their first hiatus, and I heard The Adventure for the first time. I'm like, this is it. I love Blink, but this is it. I mean, the arena rock sound, and that album came out, and it was so much deeper than the Blink stuff, and that has resonated with me since 2006. I think that's when that album came out. So I'm just going to say those 2 bands for me.
You wanna go?
Oh, I'm up. We're
We can skip order. Go ahead.
okay. So I mentioned them earlier, but Coheed and Cambria is a huge influence on me. I kind of break it away from that. Like, I've been influenced by the Strokes since I heard Last Night back in 2001 when I had to download it on dial-up. It took 3 days. I had to kick my mom off the phone to try to finish downloading it. Yeah, the Strokes were a huge influence. First time I heard Hot Fuss by the Killers, like that was a huge influence on me. Sam's Town even more. Shout out Sam's Town.
Best album out there.
Strokes, the Killers, Coheed. I'm really into lately. I've been really into Manchester Orchestra. They have some really good albums, and I've kind of been addicted to it lately, last 6 months or so. So, and then Rush. I mean, being a drummer, you can't not say Rush as an influence. What's that? So Rush. Yeah, I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to music. I even like ska. You guys were mentioning ska your last episode. I have a Real Big Fish tattoo as well. I love ska music.
It's the only music that's ever been existed.
It's the only music ever.
Yeah, ska is all genres of music.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And then I was a metal kid when I was in high school. So like Atreyu and Dead to Fall and you know, a bunch of those other bands I was really into when I was younger. So, I'm pretty much a mixed bag, and it kind of shows in my playing. I try to be as eclectic as possible when writing with them, writing drum parts. So, what about you,
Nice.
Michael?
Yeah, so like I just you know, I don't know, like my favorite band's Killers, so that's kind of like the guiding star of a lot of things. But I started with music a lot earlier, so like I don't know, the 90s were the thing. I mean, I did a lot of metal when I was younger, and believe it or not, I actually listened to a lot of country when I was in high school. But I don't have a really good answer other than like early 2000s, like the Strokes, Franz Ferdinand, Killers, MGMT, just basically all the bands that Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix is a big one for us, or for me, I should say. But like yeah, that's the long and short of it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of things that influence you at many points throughout your life. A lot of different bands. Jimmy Eat World had a big impact on me.
Oh yeah.
Thursday, Thrice. When you get exposed to those things, and they kind of shift something. But what I find to be really interesting to me is being inspired more by stuff that you don't really have in your wheelhouse, whether it's like a pop song or there's you guys probably heard of the band Sleep Token. They're really not anywhere near to our genre, but I actually found an immense amount of inspiration from that guy's vocal process and his lyric writing as I was working on this last song. So even though you really can't draw any parallels between them, like it gave me like a certain kind of fuel and inspiration, to be honest. And then also on another weird way to look at things, there's bands that I completely adore that I just listen to nothing but that over and over again. It's like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with this band, I'm obsessed with this album, and it never it cannot even crack into my writing at all because it can't break past this weird layer of meisms or maybe earlier works that kind of shaped my writing style. Like I sing pretty high vocals, and that's certainly primarily attributed to Coheed and Cambria fandom and enjoying that band. So it's kind of funny how some stuff that I want to do differently can't really crack past some of those preconceived things for me.
So I'm going to throw a little bit of a twist on this. So we're talking about band influences. Well, this is similar. The best example I can give here is the inspiration for the movements of Jack Sparrow came from Mick Jagger. Okay.
Yeah.
What influence, if any, have you taken into your stage presence?
That's a good question.
Wear black and keep your instrument as low as possible. I don't know.
I mean, you're pretty
Influence on
influenced.
stage presence.
You're pretty influenced on Tom DeLonge.
I mean, there's certainly some time in there. I mean, now granted, it was my first, with the exception of open mic nights, which were kind of different.
This is just Thursday,
But-
Wednesday nights, you know.
But we did the show a few weeks back, and it was my first, like original band show in about 9 years. And I just wanted to not look boring, I guess, from the other side. So, I moved around and I wanted to jump on that sub and just like do shit. And I'm like, nope.
We're 40, dude.
I stretch, I do push-ups, and I'm like,
yeah.
I would fall on my ass.
You wanted to be story of the year.
I did. Yeah, like a good mix between Ryan Phillips and Tom DeLonge would be me on stage if I could do both, just from a visual aspect. But after that show was done, and we were supposed to play outside, but it rained like 30 million inches of
Yeah,
water
it's
that
crazy
night.
storm, yeah.
And I was just we played 30 minutes, and just looking back on some like cell phone feeds and whatnot, I'm like, yeah, I did move around a lot, but I was drenched in sweat after that, and I didn't really move around as much as I thought I did.
No.
So
Look at the video, you look at the playback and you're like,
it's yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say Tom DeLonge and Ryan Phillips for influences for me.
Yeah, so I was in a band in high school when I was 17, a pop punk band called Blackfoot Dexter, and we played a couple of shows. We kind of absconded and went some places, but we played with Thursday at the Rhino, and we played with Taking Back Sunday in South Bend at the same year. So I think both of those sorts of experiences really shaped me for what a band performing should classically look like. Just be as sassy as possible, and throughout my early 20s was the main goal.
You're not throwing around the mic like Adam or anything.
No, I would not dream of it. Like I would to be as sassy as possible while keeping the mic in hand.
Yeah.
hands full. Like no one's walking around with just a mic. Like I mean, we're all playing instruments at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's there's no front
Well,
man.
So far, maybe we'll get you up there with just a mic. Huh?
Uh-oh. Breaking news.
No, we did that once. It was bad.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, we did. Yeah, no, we did do that. Yeah.
In our band Aegis,
Yeah.
briefly,
I
we got
almost
another
forgot.
guitar player and I just sang for a little bit.
Yeah.
It didn't last long.
You didn't
He wasn't
round
sure
him
what
up
to
like
do with
Adam
his hands.
did. Yeah.
So. I guess it's me now. I take great influence in Josh from Coheed, and Ronnie from the Killers. I just want to look like I'm having fun. Sometimes it may look like I'm struggling or I'm in pain, but it's just, part of the process, and just look like I'm know what I'm doing, and I really can't move around, because I'm stuck behind the drum set.
Yeah.
But
And we don't let them out of there.
yeah, they really just tie me down, locked in there. So yeah, just kind of look bubbly, look like I'm having a good time, look like I know what I'm doing. And make sure that all these guys, including myself, stay in time, which I like to kind of take off like a freight train, especially
Yeah.
when we're playing live.
We lock eyes a
Yeah,
lot, and we yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, just look like I know what I'm doing, and having fun. So
What?
That
I
is
don't
your-
know. It's like, no, I just play the bass, man. I just stand there, smoke, have a great time.
No influences.
No, not really. I mean, look, all my favorite rock stars were, guys who mostly just by virtue of playing cool music, they were cool, like, I don't know, like James Hetfield just stands there and, he's James Hetfield, like he does that. That was a big one when I was growing up. So that's how it was. Like, I never really got into like the whole antics or anything like that. So, I mean, I like the fashion aspect of it from like David Bowie perspective and everything. But I mean, we are who we are in a rock band in the Midwest. You're not really going to be putting on, all the different outfits and everything. Just have a great time and don't be boring. But I think this comes from the fact that our music isn't boring. So it's
Gotta have good music.
It's pretty
Otherwise,
easy to look cool when the music sounds good. So
right.
yeah.
So you guys mentioned you had your first show a few weeks ago. How did you guys feel about that show prior to playing it? Like, were you nervous? Excited?
Excited.
definitely excited.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we were certainly all excited.
And he's still
I-
coming down off the high. from that show.
just driving to the gig, during, fucking hurricane, essentially, thinking about my equipment, surviving the trip to the show. I remember once our intro started and we,
You're
gone through the motions and like, oh fuck. All right, now it's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Time
with
to
this
play.
intro, and
Yeah.
I just remember turning my back to the audience and I looked at you quite a bit.
I was like, why are you
What?
staring at me?
I love you, but I
Well,
really don't know
because you
why I was
guys-
staring at you.
Yeah.
You
I had
guys
nothing else to
lock eyes.
stare at.
You guys lock eyes all the
And,
time, apparently.
And then we, our newest song started off the show, and I just locked in the first couple of notes of my riff on that song, and then it was just like I hadn't taken a break for 9 years. It just picked right back up to back in those days for me. So
Nice.
yeah, absolutely amazing.
Like
Yeah.
riding a bike, we hadn't played live and like Brian said, a long time, and just got back up on that Schwinn and let the indoor outdoor sound system take over, and hopefully not flub up. And
And if I might add, just real quick, it's one thing to play. I've been privileged where I've played some big shows in my career in other bands, like, fairly large shows with a lot of strangers. But that show for this band, like our debut show, there were so many family members
Yeah.
and friends there
yeah,
that
that was
we've
really
known.
cool.
And that was not only just, it was nerve wracking for me until we actually got going. It's like sitting through the intro, like, okay, I just want to go. But the fact that all, like family and friends there make it so much more nerve wracking for me than just people I don't know. So
It doesn't really make
don't
me
know.
nerve wracking. I've disappointed them so much in life that I just doing that at a show wouldn't be that big of a deal.
and my
But
son
that's just for me. That's all.
and my son was at the show too.
Yeah.
So that was new for me. He's gonna be 4 in a couple weeks. So, I've done hundreds and hundreds of shows in my career, and to have my son there was certainly special too. So it was just a great show for family and friends for at least this band. And there's of course some new friends there too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the bands were super cool.
So, if you could go on tour with 3 other bands, who would you choose to go on tour with? Like, it could be any bands. It can be local. It can be bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
Frank
All right.
Sinatra.
3 bands.
I mean, it could be like a dream tour.
Who wants to tackle this one first?
I think Scott's got the
Is
best
Scott,
answer.
is this like a per person question or
No,
like
no, no,
what
no.
we should as a band collectively, like what would make sense as a tour?
I mean, it could be each individual if you had a kind of a dream tour
Okay.
that you could take the band on tour with 3 other bands.
Hmm.
I know.
All the bands that I played with as a kid, like
Yeah.
when I was younger, like Lying to Jennifer, that's Tim Bauer's band. Sorry, wait, Are They Indigo? Are They Indigo?
Are they Indigo?
Are They Indigo? Lying to Jennifer. So Tim Bauer's band, Jason Dank's band. Who else was in that crowd? Because you guys I hadn't met yet.
Pending Paranoia.
Pending Paranoia, Matt Mozart.
These are
band.
very local, like 20-year ago
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah, I take all of Michigan City's like indie rock, little darling community that we had when I was, coming up, and take all those guys on tour. Like it was great seeing all those bands. I still listen to all the music too.
It'd be a nice nostalgia tour.
I'll go ahead and answer by just picking my top 3 favorite bands since high school, I'll say. So that would be in no particular order. Circa Survive, it would be Coheed and Cambria, and it would be Everything Everything.
Oh, that's a good band.
Nice.
I've got
Who's
to go
next?
last on this one.
Oh,
I'm,
I would
I'm
probably,
struggling over here. I'm sweating bullets.
He's like, I'm last.
Oh,
There was a band called Edison Glass that
Oh.
ruled.
Yes.
They're not around anymore, but if we had the opportunity to play with them, that would be great. So Edison Glass, Anne Berlin, because I think our one of our bigger influences is Anne Berlin. I don't know if we talked about
Big girl.
yeah.
it
You
or
know,
not.
man.
Big girl.
Anne Berlin.
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
something different.
I mean, the Don't Take Friendship Personal album.
Yeah.
That was really for me the only one that I ever really.
Oh,
listened
and a
to
band
lot.
called May.
May
May
great.
rules too.
May.
Suspension.
Yep. So those 3:
I don't
Coheed,
even, I don't even
Anne
fucking
Berlin,
know.
and May, and Edison Glass.
Okay, so in the moment, I'm gonna watch this back later. Be like, okay, I feel
this.
I'm gonna go Blink 182, Small Pools, and Owl City for me.
That's a different that's an eclectic group.
Yeah, that would be my 3 right now. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I don't know, Chris, did you have any other questions?
I don't. I had another question, but I'm throwing it out. I don't like it.
Now,
It's
He's
it's
like,
garbage.
It's garbage. It's in the garbage.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah,
Well, listen to any of our music that's available.
I have.
You have? Okay.
Yes.
I have not had the opportunity. So both my kids are they're in between summer camp and school.
Yeah, it's hard.
So, and I work from home. So, my 3 weeks are, I'm going to call it balancing work and home life. There's no balance. And my kids are 13 and 4. And you would think,
Wow.
oh, great, the 13-year-old is going to help out. And no, it's like they're
No, he's a
twins.
teenager.
No, it's
It's quite the gap.
so I have not
Oh, okay.
had the opportunity since Jess told me you guys were coming on.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So now his homework will be to listen to you guys. Because we like to give
You
each
love
other
giving me
homework.
homework.
Jess, what did you think? Super.
That was
biased.
good. I really liked it. I mean, I think there was an older song I liked a lot more, but
Okay.
like I resonated with it more. I can't remember what it was called. I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Okay.
Name the names off.
That's the
Zombies Ate
last.
My Neighbors.
all at once now.
Everybody said the same
Go
one.
ahead.
1, 2.
I love this request of just list
Uh,
all your songs right now.
Let's-
So we have Sound of Silence or SOS. We have Brothers in Triangles. We have Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
The zombie song.
Yeah,
like
the zombie song.
That's
That's
one of my
the
favorites.
that's the oldest one of all of them.
Apparently, I like the oldest one.
The
the most,
Guy and
but-
I wrote that one actually even with a different drummer.
Yeah, it was before
Um,
me.
This wasn't even an Aegis or Ruin song. It was just a song.
No, it was Ruins.
Was it Ruins?
It was Ruins. That song's like 16. or
Yeah, so
17.
no, that was 2006, I think.
And it's
Yeah.
aged like a
Yeah.
fine wine, I tell you.
Song's great.
It's really easy to sing too.
And then we have
Tell you what.
CBG Comeback Girl. That's one of our newer ones online.
See, I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was the newest one, right?
I know.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the newest
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
So I'm really excited to hear the next one when it releases. So
And we are super excited to release it.
Coming soon.
It's close.
Coming
it's
soon.
great. Yeah, it's really great.
You heard it here live.
Yeah, you
It's
can
easily my favorite, even though it's the newest, but just in general, every aspect of a song, it's my favorite. Yeah.
You can hear it live this Saturday at noon on the stage at the Oktoberfest here in Michigan City. It's the first song that we're going to be playing, so bring your dance shoes.
yeah, so if you go to Oktoberfest in Michigan City, you get a sneak preview. Pretty much.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get yourself a funnel cake, maybe a corn dog. Come on by.
Or two.
Or two, and we're gonna be a bunch of kids there. I think all of our kids are going.
All our kids will be there.
Our family
Yeah.
members, come in and buy a button. We have stickers for sale now, buttons, and
$20 each.
$20 each. We got to make that money back for sure. So
Inflation.
inflation's, I'll tell you.
It's yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yep.
Bravo.
So yeah. This Saturday beach show.
And thank you for the interview. I really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
No
it.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you guys on here.
You're
Yeah.
technically our first band interview, so we're hoping to
Really?
get more.
honored.
So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
just glad.
glad. Listened to some of the episodes, and I was wondering what this was going to look like. And it's been a lot of fun.
I
Well,
mean,
it's our
with
first band interview as
podcasting
well.
and with podcasting and like video and everything now, it makes it a lot easier to get together with people. You
Yeah.
don't have to be in the same room as the person you're interviewing,
Mhm.
which is great. It makes it a lot easier. It was a lot harder when I used to interview bands in person.
Which episodes did you listen to? Just curious, because some of those early ones, I mean, we're still early. This is
Yeah.
theoretically we're recording like the 10th episode right now.
No, this is
Um,
like, well,
So
this will
10 or
be
11.
number 8
I did
But-
5 and 6.
episode
Yep.
6, I
or
listened
or
to
9, one of the two.
Doctor Influences.
Yep.
Mhm.
5
I
and
listened
6.
to the Warp Tour
5 and 6
episode.
for me.
Yeah, the Warped Tour episode. Yeah.
That was good.
The Warped Tour episode, I hate to admit, Jess edited a lot. It was awful. The actual recording process.
Oh man.
I
So
don't
have
know.
fun doing this.
But I have heard from multiple people. I have heard from multiple people that episode is a favorite.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So I must have edited it well.
Must
You
have been
must
the
have, because you cut out like 20 something minutes or something, didn't you?
Something like that.
There was a lot.
But didn't you just come back from vacation when we did that one?
Yeah. It was
So he
it
was
the
like
day
a
after.
zombie. He was a
Alright.
zombie.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So I had to cut out all the quiet
Um,
moments that Chris wasn't talking.
Thanks. Did you cut out my awkward question?
I don't know.
I didn't listen to the episode back.
Well, why
about
didn't you
asking
listen
about
to the episode?
Oh,
Now we're
no.
just gonna argue on video
but
chat with you guys.
Leave it at the end,
the behind the scenes of how we actually don't get along at all.
No, we get along. Did you listen to our first episode about the
I
get
did.
to know us?
I started that one. Haven't finished it yet.
I mean,
just-
it's a long
It's
episode.
like an hour and 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah, guys, let us know when you guys are putting this out. We'll promote it on our platforms and
Socials.
socials.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try. It's gonna be airing on the 12th of September.
Cool.
Okay.
So when you get closer to that, you can for sure, share it with everyone on your socials and everything and family.
Shoot us the
Family.
details.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. It was great. I
For
had fun.
inviting
I
us.
hope you had
Thank
fun.
Jess, it's so good to talk with you and see you again, even in this light.
Right? It's
Been
weird
a long
because
time.
I know it has been a long time. I think it was like Teresa's backyard is the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I know Phil was there. Tim Wakefield was there.
The good old days. eh?
Ah, yes, the
Yeah.
good old days.
There's some photos on the old interweb somewhere of that, right? It's got to be.
There was stuff on MySpace, but I
MySpace.
lost all my
Oh.
MySpace crap.
Didn't they delete all
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit?
If you guys, anybody listening still has MySpace, go ahead and add us because
We're on MySpace.
We're on MySpace.
hell yeah, we're on MySpace.
I mean, technically, I still have a MySpace, but
Yeah.
none of the pictures work
Everybody's
and none of the
on
images load.
Nothing works.
Exactly.
You guys top 10 for friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top 10. I mean, I had like a top 50 at one point, probably.
Yeah, so who's bragging now?
Mm.
Right? All right. Well, you guys take care.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And
you
thanks again.
guys as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.